and welcome to episode 4 of Through the Glass. Hockey is so back, and so are we. The Philadelphia Flyers kick off their 24-25 season Friday, October 11th against the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver for what will be the start of a 4-game series in the road on the West Coast. How's that for a starter for the season? While that might sound like a grueling start to the season to most seasoned NHL players as well as NHL fans, that might actually be beneficial to several of the young players that we have making their rookie debuts this NHL season. The Philadelphia Flyers have announced their opening roster for the 24-25 season, and it is as follows. The forwards are Bobby Brink, Noah Cates, Sean Couturier, Nick Deslauriers, Joel Farabee, Tyson Forster, Morgan Frost, Garnet Hathaway, Travis Konecny, Scott Lofton, Jett Luchanko, Matvei Michkov, Ryan Poehling, and Owen Tippett. And for defensemen, we have Jamie Drysdale, Eric Johnson, Rasmus Ristolainen, Travis Sanheim, Nick Seeler, Cam York, and Eero Simula. And goaltenders, of course, will be Samuel Ersson as well as Ivan Fedotov. For the 24-25 season, the Philadelphia Flyers have 2 players making their debuts this year. One of them being Matvei Michkov, who came, of course, from the KHL earlier than expected. We got him in the 2023 NHL draft, and we were expecting to be at least a 2 or 3 year wait. And then we found out around April or May of this year that he would indeed be coming to the United States and starting in this year and making his debut in this 24-25 season. Now, the one that's a little more surprising, or continues to be surprising, is Jett Luchanko. At first, he surprised all the Philadelphia fans as well as NHL fans when the Philadelphia Flyers drafted him in the 2024 draft as the 13th overall NHL pick. While many fans suspected that we were going to draft someone in the likes of Konsta Helenius or even Steve Vom, and GM Danny Briere and the front office had other plans in mind and shocked the whole NHL world when they ended up drafting out of the Guelph Storm Jett Luchanko. I had the opportunity to see Jett Luchanko during the development camp earlier this summer, and I was very impressed with what I saw. Of all the players that were in this year's development camp, he by far stood out the most. Other players that stood out to me as well were Massimo Rizzo, who I expect will make the lineup eventually, probably in another season or so. And of course, Hunter McDonald continues to impress. And Spencer Gill, who they drafted in this year's draft, also made an impression on me. It's not very surprising to me that Jett Luchanko made the opening night roster, because I got to see him in development camp and I was able to watch some of the preseason games. And even John Tortorella brought up that during camp when they were doing the skate test, Jett Luchanko was keeping up with Owen Tippett, who has been like the fastest player in the Flyers for the past couple of years. I like what I saw from him in the preseason a lot. I thought he did a great job of keeping up with the pace of the other players as well as the opponents, and he made a lot of great plays. Perhaps didn't get all the points that fans were expecting, especially when comparing to Michkov, but he definitely set up a lot of plays that led to scoring opportunities. How exciting for Jett Luchanko. Not only was no one expecting the Flyers to draft him, or neither was he expected to be a pick on the first round of the NHL draft. He has gone on to impress the front office as well as fans as well as teammates, and after what I've seen, I'm not shocked to see him on the opening roster, and he's already earned the respect of John Tortorella, and that goes a long way to say, because it usually takes a while to make an impression, if ever, on John Tortorella. And he's already giving him great praise, as well as Danny Briere and the rest of the office. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Jett Luchanko pass the 9-game test. From what I've been hearing around from other analysts and experts in the NHL is that he could very well continue to be in the roster beyond the 9-game test, and that would be amazing for him. Jett Luchanko will be the youngest player to ever make his debut in the Flyers uniform at 18 years old. That has to be exciting for him. And not too far behind 18, we have Matvei Michkov at only 19, who is also making his NHL debut. Again, Matvei Michkov was drafted in the 2023 NHL draft and was not expected to come for at least another 2 or 3 years. So the fact that we are getting him ahead of time when he is still young and has time to properly develop with the Flyer system is beyond amazing. Now, Matvei Michkov was absolutely lights out during the preseason. His ability to set up plays almost every time he is on ice is just unbelievable, and his pace to keep up with other players. He's also a young guy, but he is he is built, he is a strong guy. He also has adversity and has a lot of adversity and can also make great checks. And he was not knocked down easily when opponents tried to knock him down. He definitely capable of standing up for himself, but it was also so amazing to see Sean Couturier stand up for him in the preseason game against the Bruins in Philadelphia. And I believe it was Trent Frederick that tried to start a fight with Matvei Michkov, and Sean Couturier just comes in and he's like, hey, you want to mess with him? You're going to mess with me. And that was just so exciting to see from Coots. Like, he's been our captain since February of this year, and I think the fans really want to see him take that role of the captain. And although it was preseason, I was so hyped to see that. And I think Sean Couturier is really going to grow into his role of being captain this year. And I'm so excited to see that as well. On another note, I am also excited to see how our goaltending situation shapes up this season. This will be Samuel Ersson's first full NHL season as the potential starting NHL goalie. Samuel Ersson had a lot on his shoulders, having to step in at the end of January when we lost Carter Hart, having to step in at the end of January when we became aware that we were going to lose Carter Hart. At that time, we didn't know for how long it would be, but it was kind of clear that it would be for the rest of the season at least. And prior to that, we had probably one of the best goalie tandems in the NHL, not as flashy as Ullmark and Swayman with the Boston Bruins, but Carter Hart and Samuel Ersson were really exciting to see in the first 3 months of the season, especially during the December-January stretch right before unfortunately what happened. And Flyers had a really good thing going, and then all of a sudden you lose your goalie, and then on top of that, just a few weeks later, we had the situation with the trade deadline as well as Cutter Gauthier, and we lost one of our top defensemen. So not only did we lose our starting goalie, but we also lost one of our top defensemen in the form of Sean Walker, deal with and bounce back. So there were multiple things to deal with and try to bounce back from in such a short amount of time. And it was definitely a lot on Ersson, and I thought he handled it very well at the beginning. I thought most of the team did as well, and especially for Jamie Drysdale as well, who basically found out overnight that he got traded and had to fly in right away for the next game. And Jamie had already been dealing with some injuries that he had from his time in Anaheim and was able to handle it for a while. But then I think after a while, his body must have been feeling it, like physically and also mentally, just everything from being thrown into a new team, not having the proper time to adjust and develop to a new organization. And of course, he ended up being out with an injury for a while. Then Travis Sanheim and Cam York both really had to step in the roles as defensemen and play a lot of extra minutes. So a lot of people had to step into bigger roles than they were used to. And the fact that the Flyers were able to play through all of that, and people get upset about the 8-game losing streak, but honestly, can you blame them? Can you blame them for everything that they went through that eventually it led to that? I mean, it makes sense. It's unfortunate that it led to that at that precise timing that it did, 2 weeks right before the playoffs, and eventually ended up leading to us not making the playoffs. But the fact that they went through all that once again, and it came down to their very last game, whether they were going to make the playoffs or not, I think that's a very impressive end to a season. Not the way we wanted it to end, but it's still, I think there's a lot of credit to give to the guys, to the entire team, but especially the guys that really had to step into higher roles, playing more minutes than they're used to, and that being Sam Ersson, Travis Sanheim, and Cam York, as well as the rest of the team, but most notably those 3 players, and I thought they did a great job. And I'm so excited to see what Samuel Ersson will do this year. Coming in now knowing that you are going to be the starting goalie, I think it's going to give him, I think he has a lot of confidence to build from what he did last year. And this time he's able to step into it more comfortably, knowing that's the expectation that he will more than likely be the starting goalie for most of the season. Going on to defensive end now, I don't know why Flyers fans always like to talk about our defense being weak. We had quite a few injuries last year in the forms of Rasmus Ristolainen as well as Nick Seeler. and we lost Sean Walker during a trade. The fact that we had basically 3 guys out of our normal lineup, I thought our defense handled it pretty well, and it gave opportunities for guys like Travis Sanheim and Cam York to really step up and are basically now our 2 top defensemen. And Nick Seeler is back and healthy. Rasmus Ristolainen is back and healthy. Jamie Drysdale is back and healthy. And I really love the pairing. I'm not sure if it's going to be permanent for the year, but right now it looks like they have Nick Seeler and Jamie Drysdale paired together. And I absolutely love that pairing. Nick Seeler is obviously an elite defenseman and has really stepped into his role since stepping in with the Flyers organization. Most blocked goals amongst the Philadelphia Flyers and probably top in the league as well. He's always sacrificing his body to make whatever save possible, and it's going to be so exciting seeing him paired with Jamie Drysdale. I think he's going to be a great example for him. I think they're going to make each other step up their games. Jamie Drysdale obviously has great skating abilities. He's very fast. And if he can combine that with the intensity that Nick Seeler brings to his game, I think that could make for an incredible pairing as well. Also, Rasmus Ristolainen looked great during the preseason. We didn't get to see much of his play last year, unfortunately, or the year prior because of injuries, but I really like what I saw. I'm excited to see if he can replicate what he brought to the preseason during the regular season. I am very excited for this upcoming season. And I believe most Flyers fans are as well. There's just so much to look forward to this year. We have most of our team, knock on wood, healthy at the moment. We have 2 brand new players to our lineup in the forms of Matvei, Michkov, and Jett Luchanko, who both had great preseasons and look very promising. We have a healthy defense who's only getting stronger and better with every season. And we also have exciting prospects in the system who didn't make the lineup this year, but will be here within the next couple of years. So I think we have a lot to look forward to as Flyers fans. The Phillies have been eliminated from the playoffs, unfortunately. There's no more baseball until next spring, so make way. It's now Red October is over. Let's make room for Orange October. So let's go Flyers, and here's to the 24-25 season. Remember, the Flyers kick off their season Friday, October 11th against the Vancouver Canucks, and will make their home opener debut on Saturday, October 19th, also against the Canucks here at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. Thanks so much for watching Through the Glass, and I will see you next time. Bye!